Great to have everyone here. Welcome to everyone. It looks like it's mostly internal people here, mostly Sarcophagus folks, and some decent labs folks. Um, but anyway, we just wanted to talk with a friend of ours at Wallet Guard, a very complimentary product to what we build at Sarcophagus. So, we wanted to just get on here and talk a little bit about both what we're both doing, kind of highlight some features of each of the projects, and see how we can give more options to people to help protect themselves when they're doing all of the on-chain bullshit. So, just for posterity, I think most people here know what Sarcophagus is, but my name's Zach Hamilton, founder of Sarcophagus. Started a few years ago. We're a purely decentralized on-chain deadman switch. We started mostly from the security space, trying to help people protect their crypto holdings, protect their private keys. And that's quickly morphing into being a general purpose security tool to allow people to protect bits of data, whether those be PDFs, private keys, documents, whatever they want. The whole idea is it's kind of a time capsule that helps people do data at rest security. So that's really what we specialize in. I'll let Michael here talk about Wallet Guard once he gets back on, but they're another cool tool that's out there that helps you not get hit with scams, helps you do a better job of navigating the wild world of I guess any given blockchain in a way that's not just blocking the transactions, but allowing you to I guess see a score or to know what malicious thing could happen while still allowing you to do everything. It's one of the few browser extensions that I do have installed. I don't like installing browser extensions, but I think that they've done a great job just over the years of providing a lot of value. Would have stopped a lot of hacks or a lot of social engineering attacks if everyone had it. So definitely want to talk more about that. So first topic that we have is really completing your security profile. So how do you complete I guess the complete, I don't know if I would use that word, but how do you get your security profile in a place that is usable and secure? Things like passwords and credential recovery. So, we talk a lot about password managers. We talk a lot about how, you can silo risk out between properties with a password manager, where you can have one very, very strong password that you have to remember, but there's only one of them. So then everything else lives behind that. And then all of those properties out there, your Google account, your Twitter account, your bank account, whatever, they're all able to use separate credentials. And those separate credentials allow a dramatically higher overall security profile, because if and when one of those properties gets hacked, say something like Experian, they're going to dump those passwords onto the dark web, or really just onto the web in general. So that list of passwords and their associated contact information, your contact information, will build a pretty decent picture of the way that you make passwords. Even if you are using some sort of schema that in your head you say, Disney plus pass exclamation point period, that's a good password. But if you're using that for everything, Hulu pass exclamation point period, all that, and all of those start to get dumped, the people that crawl data and the people that are attacking and the people that are doing the spear phishing style of things, especially for the people in crypto, are able to build a much better picture of your security regime. And ideally, we want to make that regime so complicated for them. We want to make it, random, so that there's no guessing what my password would be for, say, Google, based on what my Twitter and Proton Mail password would be, if those were to be leaked. So I think like that type of thing, that siloing away of risk from one entity to another, is 90% of your digital security. Where those data live, where the data that actually contains your database for your password manager database, where that lives is also very important. We like to encourage people to use things like 1Password or Dashlane, though those are very, very heavy services, and those services are honeypots. The amount of data that one could collect if they were to hack those systems is extreme, and it's extremely valuable. So really the best thing to use is something like a KeepSXC, and not have any of your database out there on the internet at all. You really want a cold database. But again, this is the usability and security spectrum of something that is not usable is not worth having, right? If I can't access my data, then it doesn't matter how many layers of protection there are. I can't even get into it. It needs to be accessible by me in a way that is fairly easy. So for a lot of people, things like 1Password work great. As you start getting into this a little bit more, I think it behooves you to start using something more like a KeyPass, or some hardware authentication. But really, if there's bits sitting on a server somewhere and someone knows the password, there's always a chance for it to come off. It's just kind of the way that it is. So again, kind of we want to work our way from that pure usability perspective up the security spectrum, but without destroying our usability. Again, very hard thing to do, and there's different levels for everyone. And even some of the built-in tools on, like, say, Chrome or Apple do a pretty good job of this. Though recently I did have an issue. I'm not sure if anyone else has ever had this, but I tried to use the Apple Hide My Email service, and when I went to get a password reset link, it went to nowhere, right? It was not forwarding. So now I was in a loop of trying to reset a password to a Hide My Email account without it coming through. So I could no longer use that account, which is very frustrating, right? Because a lot of that is seen as spam by Apple and it just won't come through. So, very, I guess, testy in terms of how we want to start using these new tools. And we're getting some that are good enough so that you don't have to roll your own anymore. But still, the best way to do it is to own that database yourself, keep it in a physical backup in a physical space. And even then, it's still secured with the cryptography of your master password. So still great level of security, not as easy to get into. You can't just log onto your password manager database from any computer. You need to have the physical files. But I think that's an okay price to pay if you can have that database on multiple devices. So yeah, I think that getting to the password manager database and using separate passwords for everything is one of the best ways to just move forward in this. One of the best ways to push yourself towards the security edge of the continuum. Another issue or another topic that we have here is active security versus passive security. So this is data in motion and data at rest. This is kind of the difference between, I guess, what WalletGuard does and what we do at Sarcophagus. Sarcophagus is really good at data at rest security. We're good at putting things away in a place that no one can touch them until an amount of time has elapsed. So we help try to keep things secure for a period of time. Things like WalletGuard, they try to keep you from messing up something in real time. So if something looks malicious or something, looks like you shouldn't interact with it for whatever reason that is determined by their algo, they help protect against that type of thing. Things like phishing, malware. I don't think they do any malware, but malware is a good example of something that if you download could start to mess with, I guess, the way your computer works. But the main difference here is that things, once they're in a sarcophagus or in a safe or in whatnot, aren't able to be used. They are at rest. They're not actively used. You can't sign anything with it. It's the kind of the definition of a cold storage wallet. It is not touching the internet. There's nothing you can do to make it touch the internet unless you want to expose it and make it hot again. Whereas this active security, or this idea that I want to do an interaction, but I want to know if this interaction is safe. So, if you use Gnosis Safe, sorry to do the two safes in a row, but if you use Gnosis Safe, there's transaction simulators on there. WalletGuard has a transaction simulator that lets you know, hey, here's what's going to happen if you press go. Sometimes it'll come up and say, this is a new website. This website was started 2 days ago, or this contract is brand new. There's only 10 people who have ever used it. That kind of thing is super valuable when, say, you're wanting to do a new transaction on an AMM or something, and you click go, and it says, all right, this contract is 2 days old and only 10 people have used it. You're like, wait up, like that doesn't make sense. I thought I was using Uniswap. It should have way more people using it. So that could have you take a step back and say, like, oh shit, I'm actually on the wrong URL. I got hit in some sort of phishing scheme and they almost took my money. So those kind of things, like that data in motion security that is updated with new information, kind of in the same way that the old antivirus software worked, is extremely useful. And I think we'll end up saving a lot of people a lot of money just from pretty basic attacks, um, pretty standard, I guess, social manipulation attacks. Johnny, you had one happen on Discord, I think, right? That was like they they posed as a news organization, had a Discord with like 50,000 members or something. It was a fairly significant amount of work that they put into the attack. But what was the how did that exactly work?
Basically, like they had the Discord server set up. It had about 25,000 members, so to speak, in it. They used, all the branding, all the graphics. They even, when they contacted, the person who contacted was on a profile that was like 3 years old, so it didn't look like a bot profile or anything. It was really well done. The hook on it was in the Discord server. They asked me to click on a link to go to a form and fill out the form and sign it so that they could, as they said, distribute the information that they got from us legally, which didn't make any sense anyway. And that got me like asking questions. And then sure enough, I get to the link and it's a fake link. It had only been alive for like a week and it definitely wasn't from Crypto Slate.
Got it. Okay, so they were spoofing Crypto Slate, their emails, and then they were trying to get you to I guess was it a malware injection attempt, or do we know what it was?
The What I ended up coming to understand was that visiting the link from my Discord profile allowed it to steal my Discord login token for that session so that then they could go steal my Discord and come in and wreak all sorts of havoc in whatever I have access to. So it was an attempt to steal my Discord login.
Got it. Okay. Okay. So, and that's definitely a spear phishing attack, right? So, like, it's not just phishing, where they're going after anyone, who's dumb enough to click the link. They were going after you specifically, which is scary, right? That they have enough people and enough resources to build a fairly sophisticated scheme. I don't know how much money they would be making from, just torching a Discord server, um, unless it's all, spam based. But even then, like, it doesn't seem like there would be such a direct route to capital. But even then, that's scary, right? That we are being targeted individually, and one of the issues with, like, wanting to do things on social media is you have to put information out there, and every bit of information you put out there is information that can be used against you. So it's like kind of the catch 22 of social media marketing is that we have to do both, right? We still have to protect ourselves. We don't want to be fully anonymous because it doesn't have as much trust. Um, but we also want to get the word out there. We want to get our message out there, and I think this is something that I've personally taken a little bit of a turn on in the most recent few months. Kind of not being in the shadows as much, and trying to come out here and talk to people about what we're building and say, hey, my name's Zach Hamilton, right? I live in New York, those kind of things. Um, I'm not telling anyone my address or phone number, but those kind of things are not hard to get to if someone has a coordinated and well-funded um, network of hackers, right? So scary stuff, but I think we can do a good job of bifurcating that external information and the internal information. I guess one thing that's not on our topics list here that I encourage security clients to do is to have multiple emails for, say, different things. To have one email address that is kind of the one that you post everywhere, the one that's on your business cards, the one that people know, and then to have a completely separate email address, completely separate domain, and have that be for only high security things. Have that be for exchange logins. Have that be for bank logins, those type of things, so that when you get a suspicious email to your main account, you get something that says confirm your deposit on Coinbase to your main email address. It's fake because it's not to the email that you use to sign up for Coinbase with. So those kind of things, I think, they're a little annoying when you first get them set up, and you don't have to have a separate one for each property. But if you're using, say, Coinbase or Gemini or Kraken or any exchange, and you have your own domain name, it's pretty easy to spin up an email for each of them individually, and very little workload ongoing. You just have to keep that domain active, and that's kind of it. So yeah, very, very low workload, annoying upfront setup. And that's always a big issue when we're building security systems, is that the setup in the beginning is annoying and you have to kind of reframe your behavior. But we kind of also want to focus on, is this hard to use every day, right? Do we have to log into something at 2 p.m. every day and hit I'm still alive? Like, we don't want that. No, we want someone to have to log in once every 6 months and say I'm still alive and have everything taken care of for them. So kind of the crux of what we're trying to get to here is making the security more viable, so that people don't just give up, because we see that a lot too. A lot of people start using password manager. It's too annoying. It's not on all their devices. They lose a device. They get frustrated. They stop using it. And this is much, much harder to combat. So I think we got Michael back here. I'm not sure if his sound is working or not. Michael, you there?
Bro, I'm gonna literally throw my phone today. I could talk now, but I can't. I could barely hear you guys, so I just gotta have my like ear up to the screen. I'm gonna freak out on Elon today.
I think you might just need some. Might be an excuse to buy some new headphones.
True, true. But yeah, no, sorry for the wait, guys. I know this is a recorded space, so people will be able to listen back. So thanks again for having me. Big shout out to the Sarcophagus community for talking about data security, and yeah, really excited to drop some security alpha for you guys today.
For sure. So, I just did a little intro on Sarcophagus, but do you want to do? And I talked a little bit about what WalletGuard does. Obviously, I'm a fan and customer, so wanted to get from you. What is WalletGuard? What do you guys do?
Yeah, definitely. So WalletGuard is actually a set of tools and educational resources to help you protect your crypto. So whether you are new to the space or a seasoned degen, our tools will literally tell you what's about to happen before it happens in your wallet of choice. I think a common misconception is that people think that WalletGuard is a wallet. We're actually not a wallet. We're not an NFT. We're not a token. You don't have to connect your wallet to us. You don't have to sign anything. And we're completely open source. And what we're able to do is bring a security layer to your wallet of choice. So let's pretend that you think it's a free mint and the contract is gasless and there's a signature and you don't really understand what's about to happen. WalletGuard will turn it into plain English so that you know that it's not a free mint and that you're about to rug yourself. Same situation with any swaps, claims, signatures, mints, pretty much any interaction in your wallet, we're able to break down into plain English before you decide to proceed in your wallet of choice. And I want to give a big shout out to all of our users. We are currently just past 60,000 users that have WalletGuard installed that are protecting over 100,000 wallets. It literally takes seconds to enable, whether it's the browser extension or our MetaMask Snap, which we are officially partnered with MetaMask. You could actually enable the features of WalletGuard directly in your MetaMask. So there's literally no excuse for people to lose their assets at this point. And yeah, we just try to make it easy, try to keep it so that security is seamless and so that people know that security in Web3 exists, because an antivirus is not going to do what WalletGuard does.
No, and I think when we were talking about this earlier, one of the things I like that you guys do, or I like about your product, is it still lets you do dumb shit if you want, right? Like, you can still do trades with huge slippage. It will allow you, right? And it's not telling you that you can't do things. It's showing you your risk coefficient, or showing you your simulation of what will happen. Sometimes there's going to be some pretty weird stuff that's happening on a contract that you want to participate in, and maybe you are an advanced user. But even as an advanced user, like, I still want to see a transaction simulation, and it's damn near free. So, like, there's no reason not to do this, right? Like, I don't see any reason not to use this. The only thing I would come up with would be a privacy concern, but that's largely alleviated by the open source nature. And also, you charge money for the professional service, right? This isn't a free service that's selling data.
So as of right now, everything is free, including the browser extension, the MetaMask Snap, the security dashboard, our AI tool, the WalletGuard Academy. Everything is 100% free and open source. But we will eventually be launching a premium version at the beginning of next year. So that's going to just give you unlimited transaction simulations, unlimited phishing detection if you're a heavy user, so that we could sustain our services. And we're bringing those to people at a very cost-effective $5 to $8 a month. But we will always remain free for the sake of onboarding. We want there to be a solution and for people to see, like, hey, there's a real security product that actually works, right? We want to have that proof of product, and I think we're there. Considering we passed 60,000 users and we've done over 4 million transaction simulations alone. this is a real product, guys. Like, you could literally go install it in a few seconds and you're good to go. Trying to make it super easy for people to understand that, this stuff exists and it's here.
Yep, and that you're not giving up anything. I think, like, for me, I'm not giving up some privacy. I'm not giving up.
Yeah, so this is a very common concern, and definitely want to break into this a little bit. So we have a very extensive privacy policy in terms of service on our website. We spent a lot of time and money to make sure that that's clear as day for people to understand that we are not data mining the user, we are not selling your data, and that our software has a direct developer pipeline to the Chrome store and the directory. What that means is that anytime that we publish a change or an update to our extension or our MetaMask Snap, that is being posted from GitHub directly to the Chrome store or the MetaMask Snap directory. This is important because a lot of extensions, a lot of security protocols claim that they're open source, but they haven't updated their repos in months. That's when it comes down to transparency. How can we be as transparent as possible and show users exactly what they're installing as they're installing it? And the other thing, when it comes down to data privacy and security, the only piece of information that we're retaining for a 2-week time frame is IP address. And the reason why we retain an IP address for 2 weeks is to prevent and mitigate against DDoS attacks. We are common high targets for DDoS attacks. There are scammers trying to take our services down every second of every day. And the last thing we want to do is leave our services exposed and being able to be DDoSed. So there's a 2-week retention period, and we also make that clear, and that we are, after that retention period, that information is purged, and we're only using it to build stronger firewall rules to prevent against DDoS attacks. So we are very transparent, and we really have all our cards out on the table when it comes down to not only what the source code and the extension is, but the fact that we will not sell user data and that we are not data mining the user.
Yeah, I think super important, right? It's there's a lot of information that's going to leak onto the chain anyway. But and there are a lot of companies out there that do nothing but try to analyze the information and sell it to whoever, for a lot of good reasons too, right? I don't think that everyone who works at chain analysis is evil, right? I think just like any weapon, things can be used for good or evil. But I'm glad to see something like this in the market, something that's easy for everyone to install. What we're building, I think, is just a little bit different, right? We're very much data at rest security, where a lot of the stuff that one is going to put in a sarcophagus is meant to be cold. It's not meant to be connected to anything. We're very much more on the security side of how do I say this? The unusable security side of the spectrum rather than the usable side. But you guys are helping bring those hot wallets or those otherwise connected wallets a little bit better, like a little bit more, or even quite a bit more, depending on what you're doing. I think some of the NFT stuff might be pretty risky for a lot of people. You see a lot of stories about people signing some approval and getting everything just demolished in their wallet and getting everything drained, which is crazy. Kind of brings me
Bro,
to another
it's
point.
literally the worst thing is signing on to Twitter and seeing someone saying that they got their assets stolen from them, or seeing someone say like, "Oh my God, I woke up, all my NFTs are gone." Because they just didn't understand what they were interacting with. Like, it's not practical for everyone to learn signatures and smart contracts and Solidity, right? We need these interfaces, these user-friendly interfaces like what we have at Wallet Guard, so that onboarding can be a little less there could be a little less friction to that onboarding. So that's why, like, I think this is something super important that not a lot of spaces talk about, let alone security spaces, is let's Web 2 before you Web 3. And what I mean by that is most people don't even know how to manage their own passwords. They don't know the importance of an antivirus or an ad blocker. These are easy wins. These are easy ways to understand your own data and device security. So with Wallet Guard, we have the Wallet Guard Academy, which is another free resource where we're breaking down Web 2 device and data security. So we're going to let you know the best resources to set your devices up the right way. We're going to let you know how to make sure that your security is locked down, that your credentials are locked down. We're going to try to get you as close to 100% secure as we can before you step into Web3 and decide to be your own bank, right? Because at the end of the day, nothing's 100% secure, and we want to get you as close to that number as possible. Banks have unlimited layers of security. So how could we expect the masses to come in when nobody knows their own passwords or how to manage their own devices? So the Wallet Guard Academy, like I said, is a free resource, super easy to share with your friends and family so that they can understand how to create their first wallets, how to make sure they keep their seed phrases secure, what to do in case you get drained, God forbid, right? There's all these different articles that we've written to make this onboarding a lot simpler so that it's not even just, Web3 scams. Scams exist in Web2, right? I think, in my opinion, more scams exist in Web2 than they do in Web3, right? Our parents are constantly dealing with text messages, emails, phone calls from Amazon and FedEx and the IRS. Like, let's break it down. Let's show you how to never deal with that nonsense again. So definitely check out the Wallet Guard Academy because it really comes full circle to not only the tools that we provide, but the education so that people know they understand what they're messing around with.
I agree with that. And actually, personally, I've been hit with very few crypto scams. I do a pretty good job of checking contracts before I interact with them and whatnot. Even doing some degen stuff. And to this year, actually, the one scam I was hit with was someone is lifting my checks from the IRS for my refunds. So it's happened twice now, and someone just signs my name on the back of the check and is able to cash it at the bank, which is hilarious that works, right? That someone can pick up a check off the ground or out of the post office that they work at, take it to a bank, sign my name in whatever writing they would like, and walk away with cash. And that process is still on me, right? So it's still me having to track down the check and track down the bank that it was at, and file all the claims and whatnot. And that should have happened back in May, April. I think May is when the first check was due to be delivered, and now it's happened twice. So yeah, I agree with you that there's infinitely more scams and definitely more dollar value scams happening out there in Web two and in the physical world. And I would say that the IRS still operates in kind of Web 1.0. Maybe they're getting to two. I think they have HTTPS for sure, but like still a very sketchy org. So yeah, I have a question for you. What do you think about this idea of wallets that are, I guess, semi-custodial, where the user has ultimate control, but there is a third party there that is helping them out, something like an MPC product or like a Fireblock style product? What are
Yeah,
your thoughts on that?
so yeah, definitely a great question. I think like a lot of us are decentralized maxis, like we want to be able to own everything and control everything. But when it comes down to like terms of mass adoption, that's not practical, right? You have to have some elements of centralization. Some people are just not going to want to manage their own keys. They're not going to want to manage their own seed phrase, but they're going to want at least some level of security or fallback. So I think custodial services are kind of essential to the ecosystem when it comes down to like the scale, right? Like if we're having millions of people on board within the next few years, tens of millions over the next decades and stuff like that, I think as an option, it's a great option, right? Like me personally, I would want to self custody. I would want to manage my own keys, but maybe thinking about, my friends that are less tech savvy or my grandparents and stuff like that. Of course, I wouldn't expect them to be managing their own keys at that point. So custodial services, I think, are an essential part of this growth of adoption, and having sort of a hybrid where there are elements of centralization and decentralization is the key to winning that.
Yeah, I agree. I think that the user should always be able to have unilateral control. Or if the entire company that is doing the security or doing the hybrid wallet, if that disappears, I think that nothing should happen to the funds. Kind of the opposite of what happens with an exchange, where you have to go through, all the bankruptcy process, assuming that the money's even there, right? Which a lot of times it's not. So yeah, I think that there could be a really interesting space here for people that build wallets, and people like you guys who build security tools for wallets, to give a user a little bit more control than they would have at, say, an exchange. Like for example, I had a buddy who he accidentally sent a ERC20 token. I'm sorry, he sent a Polygon token to his address at Coinbase, and they don't support that Polygon token. Um, there's nothing he can do about that. Now, does Coinbase have that money? Absolutely. Yeah, like that is in their wallet. That is in his wallet. He can see it on chain. They own it, but he can't touch it. And those are the kind of things when you get into custodial services that bother me, because you're not getting full control over that key, but you're getting some security. You're For the average user, like if my mom wanted to buy Bitcoin, I'm not going to show her how to do a private key setup and get her a ledger and everything. I'm going to say use Coinbase, right? It's built for people like you. But when you start, like you said, you start doing more, we call it degen, but we start doing more esoteric operations, or more nascent operations, you do need total control of that key. And I think like that dead space between the full security and trustworthiness of a nice exchange like Coinbase or Gemini, wonderful thing to have. But if I send money to that key on a network that they don't support, it's gone, right? But it's functionally gone. It's not actually gone. It's sitting right there. If someone wanted to, they could use it, but it's not actually accessible.
Yeah, I mean, look, here's the thing. If you're trying to bring your parents onto crypto, does it even make sense to talk about self-custody, or do they just want to own some crypto, right? Maybe they want to own 500 bucks, $1,000 of it, maybe even throw $100 at it, whatever the case is. But I think people don't take onboarding in the right manner, right? So what they're doing is they're saying, well, you got to get a ledger, we got to make your own seed phrase and your private keys and this, but it's like, is that practical for the user and the amount that they're investing? Right? Like, let's talk about convenience over security. Does it make sense for someone who has $100 worth of crypto to go buy a $150 ledger? Absolutely not. And at that point, it's like, hey, just leave it on that central exchange, because the value that's associated isn't really that big to begin with. But at the same time, if someone's interested in really understanding, hey, like, how can I get this into my own wallet? How do I make sure that it's not on an exchange, but I am my own exchange? Then you could start to ease the conversation into, hey, let's create a software wallet. This is the difference between a hot wallet and a cold wallet. And these are things that we're breaking down in the academy as well, right? Like, what are the differences between cold storage? What are the differences between using a hot wallet or spinning up a fresh wallet, and the difference between a seed phrase and a private key? It's scary to think that a lot of people don't know what the difference between a seed phrase and a private key is, right? Like, I've seen people compromise their own seed phrases. They're told to go make a new wallet, and they make a new wallet underneath the same seed phrase, and they re-compromise themselves immediately. That's scary stuff, right? So, yeah, I think education full circle, convenience over security, and whether it's practical for the user to even want to or have to self-custody. And then being able to show users eventually, hey, this is the blockchain. This is Etherscan. This is the difference between a hardware and a software wallet. Because let's be honest, guys, 99% of people come into crypto, they just want to make a ton of money and leave. That is not what this space is about. The space is about understanding that once you come into crypto and you understand what you're buying, you're not turning that back into USD. That's pointless. You actually understand what you invested into. And that's why I tell people whenever they come in, they say, well, I bought Dogecoin and it went down and I lost a ton of money. Well, I ask them, who told you to buy Dogecoin? And they say, well, my friend told me to buy Dogecoin. And I say, I'm 110% sure that if you ask your friend, what is Etherscan, they wouldn't know what it is. That's insane to think that you're recommending people to buy something and you don't even know the core of what you're recommending, right? So, it really comes back to, how do you get the right resources, the right people to speak with? And I could guarantee you this, Wallet Guard and my own profile, we're never going to show you some random token. We're never going to tell you to go buy an NFT or to, invest into a meme coin. But what we are going to do is we're going to give you security alpha. We're going to give you security tips. We're going to notify you when big accounts like Vitalik get hacked and compromised, and not to click on their links. I mean, it's endless utility for anyone that's following us, especially if they're using our product and know that it actually works, right? The best thing is when we go to Twitter and we type Wallet Guard and we see what people are saying about our product actually stopping wallet drainers, stopping what they thought was a free mint and it wasn't really a free mint. This is exactly the reason why we exist, in order to be that middle layer and to not only educate the user, but have the tooling in place at that point in time to make sure that they don't screw themselves over and then say, oh, this is all a scam, I'm never touching it again.
Yep. Yeah, I can't hate on the people who have that happen. Who they send their Dogecoin to the wrong address and it doesn't bounce, right? Or for something it goes through, they type in the wrong the wrong address. They use a ERC20 address for a Polygon token. You know, those kind of things. You can't really fault them for doing that. You know what I'm saying? Like that's so complicated. Like I had a security client that was doing an NFT drop, and I was doing security for the executives in it, and it wasn't until maybe 3 months down the line that they told me they were doing it on Polygon. They didn't see it to be an issue. It's like, oh shit, that is actually a that is a major difference between doing this on Ethereum, right? It's a completely different set of security concerns. There's a whole different set of tools that we may or may not be able to use. But to them, in their heads, this was just where you do NFT mints. They had never explored. They didn't have longevity in the industry. They didn't understand that like that would be kind of the first thing that one should mention is what chain that you're planning to do it on. And it's also on me for assuming that everyone came from the same place as me in this, right? So yeah, I think that these tools out there are going to be good. And the hybrid structure, I think, will be the future.
Yeah, you definitely need elements of centralization in order for this to be successful. It's you're not going to be able to have it so that there's no middlemen involved. There has to be middlemen involved for the sake of comfortability and security. But do those middlemen have full access, or are they using your assets in a manipulative manner like the banks do, where your money's sitting in a bank, you don't even know what the hell they're doing with it, but they're making money on your money, right? So if we're able to introduce account abstraction, new protocols like EIP 4337, which are going to allow for contracts to be used in a manner where you could set limits, and for example, your grandma wants to pay her bills for rent in the future, and she's doing it with crypto. You could set a cap on what she's allowed to send to a specific address so she doesn't run into a scenario where she's sending it to the wrong chain, right? These are all things that can be coded and basically autonomized over time, right? Like we can build on these systems because the technology is here. It's just a matter of the developers coming in and understanding, hey, this is what we could build with it. And yeah, it actually makes more sense than what we're using right now in our Web2 lifestyle. It's like the next logical evolution of not only currency, but asset management, as we all already know. So how do we get that message across to people in such a way where they're not standing there and saying, well, I don't get crypto, it's too confusing. There are ways to onboard people without even talking about it, without even talking about crypto. And I'm going to give you a quick example. The concept of decentralization is really the core of what all of this is about. So if you ask somebody that is, confused about crypto, you just ask them, are you comfortable with the way that you pay for things? Everyone pays for things, right? You go to a store, you want to buy something, you have a credit card or a debit card that's made by Visa or MasterCard. That's one institution. Your money is sitting in a bank like Chase or Bank of America. That's another institution. You have a point of sale system, which is swiping the card through. That's another institution taking a piece. Then you have the merchant service provider, which sells the business to point of sale system. That's another institution. Then you have the bank of the business that receives your money from your bank after 3 to 5 days. Might be a different bank than your bank. That's another institution. This is what we've been comfortable with our whole lives. 7 middlemen in between every transaction, hopping and taking a piece and seeing what we're doing. You're okay with that. Let's talk about crypto. You walk into the same store. You want to buy the same thing. You are your own bank. The business is its own bank. The money goes from your account to the business's account in seconds, not days. And there's not 7 middlemen. How is that more confusing than what we're comfortable with? So it's really about fear of the unknown. If we could tap into people by giving them an explanation of this is what you know and this is what's possible, then we can have them start to question, hey, how do we get rid of middlemen in all these industries? Because it's there, guys. It's here for us to build on.
I agree with that. I think when you start adding up, not just like the number of people with their hand in the cookie jar, but the number of institutions that you say that we're very used to. I like to look at it as a tax on everything you buy. So everything you buy automatically is going to have a sales tax on it. You're paying income tax on the money that you earn to spend here. You're paying sales tax, but then you're also paying a stealth tax that's between 2 and 3% that goes to these people. And that's on everything. That's, everything that is below a certain dollar value. No one's buying cars with credit cards unless there's some sort of special deal. But like that 3% on every cup of coffee, every run to the grocery store is a significant amount of money. There was a study that came out that said that about 1% of the US GDP is spent each year using the Delta American Express card, which is just a staggering number, right? And that means that for that 1% of the GDP, about 3 bips of that is just straight fees, right? That amount of the United States gross domestic product is going to these institutions. But kind of in like what we were saying, where middlemen can be helpful, companies like American Express, they do have that insurance component. They do make it easier to spend money rather than carrying around enough cash in my wallet to equal my credit limit. I'm able to go and know that I have that cash with me, or that spending power with me. And I know that if someone puts a skimmer on a gas station pump, which, has happened to me, I know that I'm probably going to get a phone call saying, hey, someone used your card to buy pest control services in Arkansas. This happened to me last week, by the way. And I'm like, well, definitely wasn't me. I don't live in Arkansas and I don't need pest control. So whatever that was a scam. Amex says, we're so sorry. They next day air me a new card. That kind of attention to detail, or that type of insurance service, I think is overlooked by a lot of people that use credit cards. There are a lot of really, really good things that they can offer you. But I think the core of it is you're paying for it anyway, right? So you're already paying this credit card tax on every single item that you're purchasing. So why not just get the added benefit of having some consumer protection, or having that idea that I can throw my wallet on the ground, or I can have my wallet stolen, and I'm not responsible for every dollar that comes out of it, like I would with cash, or unprotected crypto. So yeah, I think that like the idea, the core of the idea is smart. It's a very good idea, but it's gotten so perverted since credit cards came into their own, and since they've kind of become the de facto payment solution, whether it be Amex or Visa or debit cards or whatever. But a lot of the debit card stuff, you don't get the same protection that you get with the higher end credit cards. So again, you're paying the tax anyway. Why not get the benefits?
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that money is coming from somewhere, right? Like you call up for a fraudulent charge, they put the money right back into your account, but that money has a reserve somewhere. Or you would hope to think, because you can't really tell what they're doing in the background, considering it's not on chain. Just like printing trillions of dollars on a yearly basis, but that's a whole nother topic.
That's the real hidden tax. Yeah, that's the 13% per year tax that
Yeah,
we're paying, and we don't get to talk about.
exactly.
But cool. Well, I guess, Michael, is there anything else that you wanted to get into here? I'd like to wrap up our little talk and then take some questions from people. Otherwise, if people have some questions that we can answer about each of our products, otherwise we can wrap this up.
Yeah, I think this is a great time to, again, just stress, if you're not talking about security, I don't even care if you're talking about wallet, just talk about security when you onboard someone into the space. If you're not talking about it, you're doing them a disservice. The last thing that you want to deal with is a phone call the next day where they're telling you they lost their assets. People scrape money together to come into this space. So let's make sure they have the right tools and the right education so that they can keep it safe. And we really can't make it easier than being open source, than being completely free, than not having to connect to your wallet in any way to provide this security for you. And also all the educational resources. Transparency is super important. That's why we're super happy to be partnered with other open source initiatives like MetaMask. And we also work with Chainalysis. We are backed by Ethereal, IOSG, and Consensus, which is just amazing to know that we have this support, considering we haven't monetized yet. But we're building out this app. We've gotten to the point of over 100,000 wallets protected. It literally takes seconds to turn this on in your wallet of choice. There's literally no more excuse for people to just lose their assets, blind signing signatures, not understanding swaps, claims, and mints. The education layer is huge, and we actually have AI built right into our transaction simulations. I don't know any other product that's doing that. What that means is you can literally talk to a transaction before you submit it to your wallet of choice. You can ask it, what are the risk metrics of this transaction? What am I sending? What am I receiving? And you're going to get responses in plain English. That's insane security alpha. We're teaching people about what they're about to do before they do it, instead of just seeing a gas fee, right? Imagine knowing exactly what's going to happen instead of just seeing a bunch of code. And yeah, I mean, do your own research on Wallet Guard, see who we're partnered with, check out our user base, type Wallet Guard into Twitter and see all the people that we're saving their assets with. I'm going to post up one more piece of alpha to the top. It's actually a collaborative drop that we just did with Cat. So if you grab the Wallet Guard extension, you can actually mint a free Wallet Guard and Cat official collab NFT. And we're paying the mint, we're paying the gas. You literally have nothing to lose. So not only are you securing your wallet health and learning about wallet security, but you're also getting a free mint from a legendary meme artist without spending a single penny. This is how we onboard. This is how we change the sentiment of the space, instead of it being just a bunch of people that are talking back and forth with each other, spending each other's money, and everybody else outside looking in is just saying this is a scam. Let's change the sentiment of the space together. Let's show people that tools like Wallet Guard actually exist, and the resources are there for people to learn about what they're doing in crypto. Right? This is something that is live right now. You can go install it and immediately start seeing the benefit of securing your wallet and improving your wallet health. It's not something we're launching later. This has been out for a year and a half. We just passed 60,000 users. And this is why I keep saying there's no excuse for you to lose your crypto at this point, because it literally takes seconds to turn on the security layer. So thanks again for Sarcophagus and the community for talking about wallet safety. Let's talk about this. And it's a recorded session. If you haven't done so already, hit that box at the bottom right of the screen, like and repost it for your friends and family that couldn't be here to listen to this, because this is unlimited value, in my opinion. This is more value than 99% of NFT projects when it comes down to actually showing people like, hey, this is what we could do to save each other's assets. This is what we could do to continue contributing to the space and not having people lose their crypto and then say, this is a scam, I'm never touching it again.
Makes sense. I can agree with that more. You guys, you speed up a lot of things that, we've always been doing, right? And you walk people through it. So huge fan of your service, and thank you for all the building there. Let's see if anyone else has questions here. It would be great to take them. If not, we'll go ahead and wrap this up, and we'll get it posted for get the recording posted for others that weren't able to make it.
I see there's a comment here. It says, how does one identify a drainer while interacting with a smart contract? So what Wallet Guard is doing is we're actually checking multiple heuristics before you even have to interact with the smart contract. So we're able to detect a wallet drainer before you even connect your wallet and run a simulation. This is with our Storm Watcher technology that we built right into Wallet Guard. So this is massive security alpha. We are not a blacklist, whitelist. We are not sitting there manually blocking anything. So when a scam website gets spun up in the middle of the night and starts posting in a compromised Discord or a compromised Twitter page, Wallet Guard immediately catches it. All the people that are using Wallet Guard will know that it's not a real link, that it's a wallet drainer. We're able to detect that before the user even enters the website. That's how you change the landscape when it comes to screwing scammers over, right? Scammers hate us because we're able to have this technology that tells our users, hey, this is something you don't want to touch before you even touch it. So definitely a great question, but multiple heuristics are looked at along with other Web 2 heuristics like public whois information. When was this domain registered? Is there any matching metadata content? Is the link appearing to mimic a real project? Is it using special characters in the link? You can go and do that all manually. You can go and check public whois records, check every single link you're going to, look at the smart contract information and break it all down and understand or you could just use Wallet Guard.
Yeah,
that's it.
that's what I've been doing for years, going through contracts and looking through and seeing I'm not good enough to read them, but I can sure as hell tell what other people are doing on chain. So very, very helpful. So anyway, thank you, Michael, for joining us here. Thank you, Johnny, for putting everything together and getting the word out there. And thank you to everyone who joined and everyone who's listening after. We'll hopefully have more of these. We're trying to do more Sarcophagus kind of complementary products highlights, and trying to get people to understand what we're working on, and hopefully save some people some time and money. That's really the core of this. So we can deliver value by keeping bad things from happening. That's our goal. We're not trying to come in and make money on number go up, and that's just, we're not a trading firm. So yeah, we're looking forward to everything, and thank you everyone for joining. I'm gonna jump off. It's been a great time. Thank y'all.